for that noise. That was my chair. But I am taking my babies on a impromptu trip to Disney tomorrow. So I will not be able to go live and be with you all for the scrap party, which makes me sad, but I'm super excited about this trip with the babies. What I had planned on talking to you all about was acrylic paint. It happens to be one of my absolute favorite mediums to work with, just because there's so many different brands and there's so many different things that you can do with them. I've shown you before how to turn acrylic paint into like a watercolor. You can do a glaze with them, which is something that I have done in my videos on YouTube before. You can add them to matte medium. You can add them to modeling paste and change the colors. You can mix them just like watercolor and create new colors. It's just a lot of fun. And you're going to have to excuse my desk. It's a hot mess. I have not had a chance to clean up or do anything, and I still haven't even packed for our trip. So what I wanted to do was tell you a little bit about the different types that I have and that are pretty much accessible anywhere. And then I'll show you a few different ways that you can add acrylic paint to your projects. And that'll be it. I don't want to stay too long because I really can't interact with you, and I feel awful about that. But here it goes. So let me move these like so. Okay. Now, the apple barrel is a it's a paint that I get at Walmart. It's acrylic paint. It's a nice paint. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just very, very fluid. I like these paints if I'm going to be doing jelly printing, which I love to do. It's just messy and time consuming. But for 50 cents, I mean, you really, it's awesome. Then this is also can be found at Walmart and over at Michael's. Actually, this can too. It's not as cheap as at Michael's. It's more expensive, but so I prefer to buy these from Walmart because they're 50 cents. The Waverly, this is a chalk, no prep acrylic paint. It's by Plaid, and it's really pretty and it's really nice, and it's fairly inexpensive as well. Then you have the Michael's brand Artist Loft paint. It's a level 1, and so is the Liquitex Basics. So these two, they're acrylic, and I'm gonna put them out here on the mat in a second. Even though they're acrylic, they're not a heavy body. They're heavy body, but they're not as let me see. So you can see there. They and this, it's a beautiful color, and you know, considering it's Pantone color of the year, but I hate the container for that because it just kind of like flows. Whereas these, you can see, and I'm actually, yep, I'm gonna go for it. You can see the difference in the thickness just by me pouring out the paint. And then, so I would say these are all like level 1 paints, and you can see how fluid this one really is. And this is why I say for jelly printing, these are awesome. Honey, my paintbrushes. Studio Calico also has some paints. They're nice. They're fairly inexpensive. This might have actually dried up on me. Yeah. I think with all the moving, yeah, it did. It's a good thing I had almost used it all. With all the moving and the hurricane and the temperature changes, Some of my products just, they don't like me. That actually happened to be one of my favorite. Are you packed? Did you pack me? My favorite colors was that mint color, so I might actually have to go ahead and get some more. So I'm not sure why that one dried up, because these were about the same time. But you can see they're fairly fluid. The basics, the Liquitex Basics is not as quite as fluid as all of these, but these are all considered level 1 paints. And I hope I'm not having too much of a lighting issue here today. I'm trying a new lighting setup and I don't know. Then you have Dina Wakley, you have Golden, you have Liquitex. This is also a Golden. And then you have the Dilutions paints, which I've shared with you before, and you know those, any of you that have those know those are a very, very fluid acrylic. It is an acrylic based paint. But I'm not going to grab those today. I would say Dina Wakley is more of like a level 2. So, meaning it's more heavy bodied, it's a better paint. I picked out actually a really nice palette going here. And then Golden and Liquitex, you can't get any better. So if you're willing to spend the money on your paint, I highly suggest grabbing these. They last forever. And you can get them on sale at Michael's with the coupons, the 40%, 50%. Sometimes they go on sale for 40%. Like, they're just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful paints. And I can't say enough about them. But they are very, very, very heavy-bodied paint. But with that being said, it gives you the ability to add beautiful textures to your projects with them. And then I'll put a little bit. This is fluid, so you can see there, it's very, very fluid. I literally dropped it out of the container. And my page is not prepped, and it's messy from this page. So, and that's how I roll in my traveler's notebooks. That does not bother me. So one of the ways that you can do an apply paint is literally with a palette knife. And the Studio Calico paints, they're all like that. They're all very faint. You're not going to get much more than that. But I do like painting with a palette knife because I can do that. I can get that different type of effect, and it's kind of really cool, as you can see with the lines here. And then this is actually this Artist Loft. This is the Artist Loft one, and it's like a metallic paint. It's really quite beautiful. I hate the way it comes out. And it's very, very, it's very dark. So you see there, super, super dark paint. This was not quite mixed quite as well, but that's okay. I can just do that. Okay. So I highly suggest just playing with paint. You can't hurt yourself. You can't hurt your book, especially if you have Traveler's Notebook inserts, because they're fairly cheap and they're not intimidating because they don't have as many pages as, say, an art journal does. So if you're just starting out, grab one and just play with it. Yeah, orange and purple should not be mixed, just so you know, because you do get mud. But I'm kind of okay with that right now. What else can I tell you about acrylic paint besides the fact that you can apply them? Oh, that looks, I love that. The teal and the purple together is stunning. Applying with the palette knife, I'm going to show you a few other different techniques. And I really think I'm going to like this page once I'm done. What I love about the heavy body is that you can get it really thick or really, really thin. And then here's this fluid. I don't know. Kind of like it next to the purple. I don't know what we're gonna do with that Studio Calico paint. Baby wipes, you need them handy, depending on what you're doing. But yeah, lucky for me, I still have somebody that uses wipes in the house, so we still have to buy them. But even when he's done, I'm still gonna have to buy them for my art. Okay, so another one of my favorite things to do, and let's see if we can get it done with this apple barrel, is to create lines with an old card, an old gift card. It's just fun. Dragging the line, not dragging the line. It's just a lot of fun. So that's another thing that you can do. I'm trying to think if they're on my desk and I don't see them. Sorry, I'm not talking, but it's a lot harder than I thought, because I'm kind of like art journaling. Yeah, I am art journaling as I'm talking to you about acrylic paint. So I'm having a hard time. What I am going to do though is I'm going to dry this first layer a bit so that I can add more and not have a huge mess going on. Because of the colors, some of them can be mixed together and look okay, but some of them cannot. As you saw, my purple and orange mess here. But again, I'm okay with that. And I'm not going to worry too much about getting my lines dried because some of them I put on fairly thick. But another thing about acrylic paint like this, you can see is already dry. So that's another thing about acrylic paint. If you put a thin layer, it dries super fast. So fast that you might not even need a heat gun to get it to dry, which is kind of awesome. Another thing, and I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but when I pull it away from here, you're going to see that I created texture in this orange spot just by applying the heat gun to it. So the areas that are bubbling up, that's going to stay like that now. So I'm hoping you guys can see that bubbling up. But it's one of my favorite, and you can do that with gesso as well. And it's one of my favorite things to do. All right, so I think this page needs a little bit more teal, so I'm gonna grab it from here. And I'm just gonna, this is another way for you to go ahead and apply paint. And it's this kind of like the palette knife, but you can get it really thin, really thin. So the credit card technique thing is one of my absolute favorite ways, especially when I'm Bible journaling. So I don't know if any of you Bible journal, but that's a great way to get paint down in your Bible journal and not have a ton of paint, is with a card. And I need to find another one. Then you have your finger, which I really love to do for simple designs or whatever I'm doing. I have more control over my finger. Maybe not this color. I have more control with my finger, which is why I enjoy using my finger. I can do things like that. Okay with that. Again, the whole thing is to seriously, it's just to have fun. Fun, 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 fun. Lots of fun. Everybody likes to have fun. But I love using my finger, depending on what I'm doing. What was, I know there was one, I mean, obviously a paintbrush, y'all. But when it comes to paintbrushes, they're not all created equal. So this one is actually a harder bristled paintbrush, and it's made for oil and acrylic paint. So when you use this one, you're going to get a lot of texture going on in your project. Whereas the Prima ones, they're lovely, but they're very soft bristled. So you're not going to get the same texture that you're going to get with, say, this one or this Dina Wakley media brush. And I love these brushes for acrylic painting because you can get some really, really nice texture. And right now is a time where I wish we were live so that I could get your opinion of what color to put here. But I'm just going to go with this pink and see what we get. So, and I'll bring it up close. You can really see the paintbrush strokes. Oh, I don't have any. This happens to be one of my favorite colors. This is Prussian blue, and it's gorgeous. So you see these paint strokes that you get? You're not gonna get that with anything other than an acrylic or oil-based paintbrush. Because the bristles are so hard, you're able to get that. You can't get that with, say, a watercolor brush. And don't use a watercolor brush with your acrylic paints. It's not, you'll ruin your brush, and you won't be happy. It's just not cool. I really like what I've got going on here. Alright, and then the soft brush, this is my Prima one, and as well as I love them, it's not the same. So I have brush strokes, but it's definitely not, it's not the same. I do love this though, on the Prima. Like, how cool is that? And that's one of my favorite things about the Prima brushes, is that it has that. I just think it's so cool. And there's lots of different things that you can use in your household that can give you that same look. And look at this. We've created a whole mixed media page together. I'm just going to show you all the Dina Wakley brush. And then we are going to say goodnight. Again, I'm really sorry that I couldn't be with you all. I really wanted to, and I definitely didn't want to leave Christina hanging, trying to find somebody. So here I am. Let's see. trying to cover up this brown circle because it's definitely not my favorite. Not my favorite element. God bless you. Look at all that texture. All right. And then just trying to, I like hate that spot. Don't you hate when that happens? When you, like, I love everything else. I just don't like that spot. I don't. Should have left the circle. What can we put there? Maybe this. Yes, much better. Oh yeah, I like that a lot better. All right, y'all. I know I'm quiet. Again, I have a really hard time thinking and talking to you at the same time, but that is acrylic paint in a nutshell. So with that being said, the Liquitex Basics, which is this one, I'm gonna move this to the side. The Artist Loft, the Apple Barrel, this Waverly Chalk, the Studio Calicos. These are all like level 1 paints. They're fairly inexpensive. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them at Michael's. They don't cost, like, the Artist Loft, I think they sometimes go on sale for like $2. And that's a lot of paint for $2. The Liquitex Basics are normally like $4. So it's a really good deal. The Apple Barrel, 50 cents. And this Waverly, I think it's like $2 as well. And remember, these are all really, really good for jelly printing. For jelly printing, you want it to be a lighter paint. You don't want it to be a heavy body paint like the Liquitex Heavy Body, the Golden, even the Dina Wakley is a little too heavy sometimes. This is too fluid. So you need to be in between, which is what these are. These level 1s are like in between, whereas these are better quality, more heavy bodied, and you can get a lot of great texture with them. Alrighty, I think that is it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will be checking the group later on in the evening. And I hope you have tons and tons of fun during the scrap party. Thank you so much for watching me. And see you all later. Bye.